Hey, what's up? So my name is Brandon, and in this video I'm gonna quickly go over some of the things that you will need, to have an understanding of or to have in order to even be remotely successful as a forex trader. So let's go over what you need to have first. The first thing you need is a good or reliable internet connection. Now, this is really important because you don't want to be in any trades and you don't have the ability to monitor, adjust, or close any of these trades. This can be very problematic if it is, your internet has issues. The next thing you are going to need to have is a computer, a tablet, or a phone, right? Any of these can work, and this is just so that you can be able to monitor your trades, adjust your trades, close your trades, open your trades, right? You need to have a trading platform, all right? So you can use MT4, which is called MetaTrader 4, MetaTrader 5, MT5. There's one called CTrader, right? And there are a few others, but these are the ones that I would recommend. Not specifically necessary but helpful is TradingView, right? It's not necessary, but it does help, right? This is where you can actually get to analyze your pairs and stuff. Now you can do this via your trading platform, which is what I spoke about earlier, but TradingView is just all around better, alright? You need to have an open mind, alright? This is something I think is very important. You need to have an open mind. You need to be able to allow information to be received properly, right? And the last thing I think you'd need to have is someone to talk to, a buddy, right? This is really important because in this industry you don't have co-workers, you don't have someone to go to lunch with, someone to go have a beer with after work, right? You don't really have a boss, you don't have a supervisor, and it's actually quite a lonely industry, right? It's a lonely place to be, right? And if it is you aren't really successful, it could actually be really dangerous because there's no one who understands what you're going through, right? So I usually recommend having someone to talk to, a buddy, friend, who understands your situation. This is really important. Who has similar goals and aspirations within this industry as you, and maybe a group. These things, really important. All right. So now let's go to some of the things that I think you need to understand in order to to be even remotely successful as a trader. So you need to understand basic trader terminology. You need to know what a pip is, what a lot is, margin, leverage, and all of these different things. You need to know what these things are, right? Manipulation, the spread, the bid, the ask. These are different terminologies that are really important for you to know, so that if someone is explaining something that's happening with, say, the spread, that you know what they are talking about. You need to understand direction via the structure and the traps. I think this is amongst the most important thing to have good technical analysis. The direction. You need to understand what direction the market is likely to go in, because if you don't understand the direction, it doesn't really matter what you do, you're going to always be wrong, right? If you don't understand what direction it's going to go, right? The next thing you need to know and you need to understand is an entry technique, right? And this will obviously be based on your direction of choice, right? There are many different entry styles, many different ways that you could enter the market by virtue of entering a trade. I have a few, right? But there are many. You could literally go on YouTube and find so many different entry techniques, how to enter, snipe trades, all of these different things, right? But you need to have an entry technique. The next thing you need to have an understanding for is a trading plan, right? This is your rule set. This is your cornerstone. This is essentially what tells you what to do, You understand? If you don't have a trading plan, you're not gonna follow any rules. They say if you stand for nothing, you're gonna fall for everything. Right? Very important. The next thing you need to understand is proper risk management. This is actually very important as well. It's actually up there with amongst the most important things, right? Because you could be taking good trades, having an understanding of the direction, really good entries and stuff, but your understanding of risk management is poor. What essentially ends up happening is you lose more than you win because you're not necessarily in control of the numbers, right? You need to have an understanding of journaling, right? Big businesses, companies oftentimes keep track of their sales. They keep track of what they would have done last month, last year, right? Because that's the only way you will allow yourself be able to grow, because you know what you have to grow from. Journaling allows you to keep track of what you have done. The next thing you need to understand is fear management, right? Also very important. The fear management is something that if it is you aren't even aware that fears can control your decision making, you're going to be in trouble. You need to have a good management system to control and manage your fears, right? And trust me, there are going to be many. You need to understand emotional control, right? Emotional control in the regard that when you're upset, you're not feeling in the best of moods, you should know that now is not necessarily the best time to be trading. So the best thing for you to do is to stop trading, right? The next thing you're going to need is perspective, right? This is something that specifically in my teaching, I try to give a lot of perspective, right? Instead of looking at the market from one direction, you try to look at the market from so many different directions, and that way you get to find out what other people might be thinking and what may not necessarily work, right? Perspective is very important, right? You need to have an understanding of good work ethic. Remember I said that in the things that you need to have someone to talk to, because you don't have a boss, you don't have a supervisor. There's no one here in this industry to tell you, wake up, get to work on time, clock in on time, do your work. There's no supervisor behind you or literally always on your shoulder telling you what to do. You need to be in control of these things for yourself, by yourself, and if you aren't, your work ethic is going to be very poor, right? And thus the next thing you need to have an understanding of is accountability, right? You need to be able to say when you did something wrong. You need to be able to acknowledge when you did something wrong. You need to be able to acknowledge when something isn't necessarily the best, you didn't make the best decision, right? It's very easy to blame someone else, but it's not easy to take responsibility. And thus the people who take responsibility for their actions grow significantly faster than those who do not. And now we'll talk about the bonus. I'll give you a little bonus here. What you don't need to be successful as a trader. You don't need to follow signals, right? You don't need to listen to what other people had to say about a system or about a trade that they took. Not even me. Not even me. I know that sounds kind of weird. In other words, I'm telling you, you don't need to listen to the trades that I take, because you don't. You don't. If you understand your system, then that's all you need, right? That's all you need. You don't need someone to manage your account, because the vast majority of the time, what's going to happen is this person's not going to treat your money the same way that they'll treat theirs, and they'll end up playing games with your money, right? Another thing to keep note of with people who may try to manage your account is that, are they certified to be able to do so? Do they have the correct certification and licenses to be able to manage your account? If not, don't give them your money, alright? You don't need a suitcase of money for a flex, alright? You don't need a rented Lamborghini for a flex. You don't need these things. These things aren't necessarily what make good traders, right? It's very likely that the trader that you're seeing that thinks has all of this money, right? All of this fame and fortune and whatever, it's very unlikely that they're even remotely profitable, because not everybody wants a suitcase of money. Not everybody wants a Lamborghini, Alright, to each his own. Remember that. Alright? You don't need a million indicators. You don't. Let me tell you that right now. You don't need the stochastic. You don't need the RSI. You don't even need the moving averages, and it's something that I teach. Right? It helps, but you don't need it. Alright? You don't need any expert advisors. You don't. You don't need a computer to try to trade for you. Remember, a computer is not going to be able to take decisions, based on emotions in the market. It's only going to be able to do what it has been programmed to do. And that can be detrimental because the market is manipulated, or it manipulates the emotions of the masses. Remember that. You don't need a mentor. You don't need a mentor. Right? Not even me. It helps, but you don't need it. Right? I've said this multiple times. You can learn everything you need to learn. Right? Literally everything you need to learn on the internet. I mean that. Right? And I literally just told you what you need. You could go search these things and you'd get your answers. Obviously, you'd have to do a lot of searching, but you could literally go on the internet and search for all of these things and spend a few years to put it together. Absolutely, you can do it. Alright? You don't need a mentor, but it helps. And I mean that, it helps. So the years it might take you to do it on your own, a mentor who has experience in that field may, allow you to do, to have that same result within a few months. But you don't need a mentor. So this is a list of, the things that you need to have, you need to understand, and you don't need to have in order to be even remotely successful as a forex trader. Alright? So now I want you to tell me, alright? Tell me, how many of these things did you check off of this list? I'd love to hear. How many of these things did you or are you in control of? Alright? Message me. Let me know. How many of these things, or what do you think that you're still lacking? Message me. I'd love to know. See you.